good stuff happens. Well, welcome, Judith. Thank you for coming along today. It's great to see you. And I've got to say, I've been looking at your LinkedIn profile and it is fascinating. And
Thank you.
I think that you're going to be amazing to chat with today. So I'm very excited
Oh,
about that.
thank you.
So let me start off. As I said, the LinkedIn, it says Phase Zero Expert. What is a Phase Zero? Tell me
It's
about that,
interesting.
please.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, right? Phase zero is the time we have to actually do a stock take and set up for the journey. So it comes from an ancient term or ancient history, whatever we want to call it. This is the time where sailors actually took the time to prepare for the journey ahead. So the success of the mission, whatever it is next, depends on the investment that we have in this phase, that is phase zero. So it gets us all on the same page, gets our expectations right, and also set our compass right so we are sailing in the right direction.
So it's an ancient thing. It comes from, well, not ancient, but it's pretty
Mm.
old type stuff. Wow. And
Yeah,
we're
it
and you're
is.
using it in
Mm.
today's world, today's
Absolutely.
technology world. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I find that interesting is
Mm.
because a mentor of mine, Adam Coffey, is always he's a pilot and he's always talking about you've got to start with the destination and then work back from there to figure out how you're actually going to get there. And there's always going to be slight course corrections as you go through. And what I've found with the mergers and acquisitions side of things is people don't prepare. They just don't prepare. And then they get in there and they get swamped by the waves and then they get knocked back and they've got to fight their way back. And so this phase zero stuff, that sounds really quite interesting for me. How have you used it in a practical sense?
This is can be used it in a few places, and it depends. And there are minor tweaks to the way it's applied, right? So basically, it's very, very simple. So you look for the strategy. So is your strategy still relevant? In many cases where we embark on digital transformations, the strategy conversations and all that happened 20 years back, and life has changed since then. So it's a very good opportunity to relook at the strategy, mission, and vision to make sure you're still sailing in the right direction. The second one is the expectations of the stakeholders and the audience or whoever you're selling the product or the service to would have changed in the last 20 years. Speak to them and understand what they need and what they want through the service that you provide and get that information. And third, the most neglected but a very important one, do a stock take of what you have and understand what you need and understand where you need to clean the house. So there is always baggage that we carry over years. So we've learned that the effectiveness in cleaning enables us to save a lot of money. So in our industry, especially digital transformation, this period is so important as we have seen the failure rates published by Gartner and McKinsey. People argue is it 70 or 80%, but either way, a lot of failures happen. So if we want to change it and make it more successful, Phase Zero is one of the tools that will help you get there.
Okay. Everything you said is just so spot on. And the thing is, I hear this all the time. My people hear this all the time. How on earth do we convince? You're talking 20 years ago. Let's bring that up. We're talking deal makers here, the
Mm.
finance people, the CIO, the CEOs and the CFOs. They're the ones doing the deal. How do we convince them about being prepared? Because they'll sign the deal and, oh, okay, just go and make it happen. Well, I can't go and make it happen because I haven't got my own house in order and you haven't given me the time and the money to go and get my own house in order. So, how am I going to make all these savings and connect up with all these synergies if you're not giving me the opportunity? You're not giving me the time, you're not giving me the money, and you're certainly not giving me the priority, and you're expecting me to do it all with business as usual stuff. How do I do this? And how do you convince these people?
And this is an interesting thing, right? So I'll use the Peter Drucker's analogy here. So if you do not plan, if you plan to fail. So preparing doesn't assure you success, but if you do not prepare, especially in our industry, we are assured of failure. So if we do not do this, your organization has very limited chances of succeeding. So many people in the leadership team understand that. But there, as you say, there is a lot of people who just believe success would happen or things would just happen by signing up the paperwork. Yes, there is enough education needed in the industry. But one thing the world has shown us in the last, especially 10 years, is that what we are doing is not sustainable anymore. So if we can't keep going with the rate of failures that we have or the challenges that we have. So 2024 has been a very challenging year for many industries, which is the accumulation of a lot of debt that we have collected over the years have caught up to us. So the only way if we want to change the narrative is by changing the way we look at things. We take time to prepare and we invest in what is important. We look after people, we look after those we serve, and we remember the big picture and remember why we are here for. So, yeah.
I understand what you're saying there, and you can tell by my hairline here. I used to have hair down to here, by the way, but trying to deal with
Yeah.
this situation, it's just gone. But
Yeah.
the CIOs and the CFOs, they believe they've done their job.
Mm.
They've they've got the deal. So
Mm.
good. How do we convince them that that isn't the end of the job? Their egos are that the job is done. Now it's just a matter of, oh, you guys go and take care of it.
Yeah. So it is a challenge that our industry is facing, right? So when we looked at the statistics of digital transformation, especially the leadership team who started it is not the one who is finishing it. They have at least 2 to 3 changes in the leadership team. That
Mm.
shows the immaturity in the level of organizations that we have, the organization debt, and also the baggage that we carry and how it's transpiring. So if we want to have some stability in our businesses, take time to do things right. But again, as you say, um, it is a conversation for a mature organization. So if we keep doing the same thing, don't expect something different. So it is a double-edged sword. So we have the information, we have the techniques, and those who have ears listen and act appropriately. So, but they also have an opportunity to go down the same path, which is, oh, I've signed a deal, miracle will happen, or I'll get someone else to do it. So, yeah, walk in with
Yeah.
eyes open. Yeah.
So you've also got a technical background here of
Yeah.
implementation. You've got SAP, you've got ERP. A trick question for you.
Mhm.
Is there any difference for any organization that you've done in implementing the technology, or is it always the same process? You've just got to go through it. There's going to be
Mm.
some little catches on the way.
So overall, I would say it is a very similar process, but having said that, every organization is different. So it's a matter of knowing where to tap conversation. So it is about where do you spend the time. The process is very similar, but where you spend the time and where you put the emphasis on is different in each organization. So that is where the difference actually come in. And most importantly, we need to go back to the basis, which is pay people, process, and technology. The technology cannot help you if we don't have the right mindset and the right people working on the right things. And if the process is convoluted and it's not clear, that no technology can help. So before any organization invests on technology, my suggestion is get your house in order. That is the people and the process. And there are many ways you can do it. Yeah.
Sorry, are you repeating yourself there? Prepare, prepare, prepare.
Prepare, prepare. Yeah,
I've got a
preparation
I've
is
got
the
a
key.
funny one for you. Pay people. You say that one. I've got a funny story. I did an implementation 25 years ago
Okay.
for the Australian defence industry. Australian Defence
Mm.
Department. And I built the Defence Computing Bureau in Melbourne, Victoria, in Australia. And as part of that task was to implement the payroll system for all of Defence. I was given one little piece of advice. So this is 22,000 people, all trained to kill.
Hmm. Yep.
They want to be paid. So
Yeah.
22,000 people, all trained to kill.
Hmm.
It's a good idea to pay them.
Yeah. Of
It
course.
was
Yeah.
it was really highly motivating, that
Hmm.
statement by the colonel at the time.
Yeah.
22,000 people all trained to kill. Good idea to pay them. So
Mhm.
yes, that was a very highly motivational speech by the
Mm.
colonel to get this task over the
Mm.
line.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you've got something else that fascinated me too that I really wanted to
Mhm.
ask about.
Yeah.
What is this ancient wisdom stuff that you
Okay.
that sounds really interesting. I'm a archaeological freak myself, so that
Ah,
sounds really interesting to
history.
me.
Yeah. So, interestingly, I come from a family with trading background. So, one of my colleagues during the ERP travels told me that what you do has elements that have been handed over to you because you apply those elements in what you do. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So when I had my daughter, it gave me a very different view of the world, which is how do I carry or pass on the information that have been handed over to me by my ancestors to her. So that was a concept that I was debating. And then when I looked at what I do and how it can help people, I started writing on this very simple things, that is hand-me-down principles, which is the ancient wisdom. So, what I also found by writing is I connected with people across the world through these forums or through these facts. And now I run this YouTube channel along with my husband called the Ancient Wisdom Forums, which talks about how do we apply those principles in digital transformation. So it's a passion area for me that I keep working on. And there is a website called Ancient Wisdom Forums, which is sponsored by a very dear friend, Tom Pierce, and we write articles on ancient principles and how it impacts us and how we can apply in the real world to get better results. So, yeah, that is where the
People can
start
grab
of the
that
story.
website down
Yeah.
below, by the way.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
yes,
so
oh, that's
that's the start of the
fantastic.
journey.
The start of the journey. You're starting in ancient. So now I was always I see you've been traveling north. You started in Melbourne and now you've worked your way up to New South Wales and up to Queensland.
Yes.
Yes, and you've worked in some really interesting industries. And one of them that I noticed was that you are the state president of the Australian Transformation and Turnaround Association. I must
Yeah.
say, I've never heard of that. Can you
All right.
give us a bit of detail about that, please?
So we are called Transformers Unite or Transformation and Turnaround Association. So headquartered in Sydney and we operate mostly from Melbourne. So the founders had the vision to help to be a not-for-profit that helps organizations as they transform and stay relevant. So we do interesting things. We partner with organizations who are like-minded and partner with individuals who are again like-minded and have a passion for business and transformation. So anyone's welcome. So if you are a professional looking for insights on transformation, be a part of us. So we've got capital or that is information available for use. So anyone can download and use. Visit the website at transformersunite.com. So there is a lot of information there that can be used. And we also do quarterly meetings with people who have contributed in the industry. So it gives a cozy interaction opportunity with people who are like-minded and people who matter. And also for people who are interested in upgrading or upskilling, there is an academic pathway there as well.
So is this just related to technology or is it related to business as a whole?
Business as such, business and transformation as such. So most of us are business people, not technology people, and you'll find case studies on from people who have helped transform organizations like Kimberly Clark, which is a paper producer, and Quinn and like health departments for a couple of states and few others. So fascinating people. What I really like about it is the opportunity to interact and be mentored by like-minded people. For example, I met my mentors Bernie and Veronica through the Transformers Unite. So currently they are the co-chair and met them over the years. So it gives us an opportunity to, really work with them. Yeah,
That sounds excellent. So would you recommend that for people doing
absolutely.
M&As?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, absolutely, I would. And what I would also say is we as humans we learn from each other. So if you're into learning and if you want to have an easier path to success, you definitely learn from other people. So come in, stay involved, just learn, and you wouldn't regret it. So M&A, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've just been asked to write a couple of case studies this week
Okay.
on some of the M&As that I've done.
Okay.
And I said to the person, I said, look, I said, I'll have to figure out how to format this right and get
Yeah.
it right. And they said, oh, use ChatGPT. Well, it sounds to me like I should be going to visit this site
Yes.
and looking at how professionals do the case
Yeah, case
studies.
studies. Yes, that would
Well,
be a good one.
I'm
And I can help us needed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to be onto it
Yeah.
then myself. And
Yes.
again, you'll find the web link down below. So just check it out. It sounds
Yeah.
really valuable. But I my granddad had a saying,
Okay.
why have a dog and bark yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Why reinvent the wheel? Yeah. So
Yeah,
if there's capital, use it. Yeah.
exactly. So
Mm.
why should I go out and try and spend days doing that when I can go to an
Mm.
environment like that, which is set up by exactly the people that I want to be
Yeah.
involved with, and that is people that are doing business transformations.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get on to that, shall we?
Yeah. Will do.
we're, we're a fair way in, and now we're getting into the. Yeah, we've had a really good conversation so far. So, what sort of uh, acquisition or M&As have you been involved with yourself?
So I used to manage payroll for payroll. I used to work in the payroll industry. So a company called ADP, whose job is to process payroll for many, many organizations. So during that time, mergers and acquisitions has been a part of my daily life because companies get sold, companies get acquired, and at the end of the day, we need to pay people. And as you say, payroll is a very good motivator. So mergers and acquisitions over the course of five and a half years, I've seen about 300 plus mergers and acquisitions. So it is a decent sample to work with. So good thing about it is when, like from putting aside the culture and the people side of things and the process side of things, they pure pay from a pure technical side of things. When the new company becomes part of the old company or when the new one merges with the existing one, the key challenges are work with what you've got, like capitalize what you've got. Not everything can be reused, but a lot of things can be reused. So work with what you've got, don't reinvent the wheel, and look for the point of differentiator. When something joins someone else, there is always a differentiator that they bring to the table. Be open to it, understand what it is, because that differentiator could help you and the other organizations in your space as well. So those are the main things that I have learned.
So, just a few. There's most people out there will have done three or four M&As in their time. So 300, you're speaking from an enormous amount of experience there. Let's go on that vendor side
Mm,
because that is
mm,
crucial. And a lot of money can be
mm.
lost, a lot of money
Yeah,
can be saved
made.
in that
Yeah,
side of things, depending on how you
yeah.
approach it. I recently did one where, from a legislative perspective,
Mhm.
you needed to keep the records for 7 years. And the expense of having access to an application that nobody is ever going to log on to ever again,
Yep.
but
Mhm.
having to pay that license fee for 7 years, uh, admittedly, there were two applications like this. It was going to cost about $750,000 over that
Yeah.
7 year period. So what I did was I paid 50K
Mhm.
out to a software developer that wrote some robots for me. And
Good.
they went through every screen in the
Mm.
application and dumped it down to a PDF
Done.
so that it could all the information, not the raw data, but the
Mm.
information has been
Information. Yeah.
saved and is accessible. It may not be pleasant,
Yeah,
but it's accessible.
it's accessible. And
And
the
that
interesting
goes with
thing
what you
that
were
you,
saying about
yeah,
using what you've got.
yeah, absolutely. And also being open to the technologies that is available with us, right? So with that specific example, there is a company in Germany that I know quite well, and they they can compress data and keep it in storage for a very long time. So instead of spending 750,000, you'd be spending like 10 grand or something to be able to put that in a cold storage. And also think about the carbon footprint that you're saving just by doing that. Every application costs money and data costs money in whichever shape and form. So how we manage it, we need to get smarter in the ways of doing it and keeping our eyes open. And answers could be very unconventional. So freezing of data, people might not have heard about it or used it or anything like that, but those techniques have been available for a very long period of time. Defense systems have used it for ages, and spatial systems have used it for ages, and now we as humans have access to those parts of the world or parts of areas of technology which we never had access to before. So it's just about keeping our eyes and mind open and having that network to be able to rely on. For example, in mergers and acquisitions, as you know, not every conversation is easy. So whenever you hit a bump, you at least know who to call to help clear the bump or go around the bump. So, and have the wisdom to make that decision.
And I agree with you there. That's really one of the major motivations for me doing this, is to give people that extra knowledge that they may not have thought of, that extra contact, and your
Mm.
details will be at the end of this as well, so that people will be able to reach out and get hold of the right person. Oh, I saw something on that. Now, who was it? Where do I find them? It was over here. Reaching out to the right person at the right time. And we can get overloaded with information,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you've you've got to get the right tool for the right job at the right time. And if you do no slap in the face for the vendors here too much, but if you go to a surgeon, they're going to find
Oh, yeah.
something to cut.
Oh,
They really are.
absolutely.
If you
Yeah.
go to a vendor, they're going to have a solution for you, and it's going to
Yeah.
cost you money. You've got to look past those vested interests and look for
Mm.
what is right for you and your environment and your CFO's bottom lines as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Choose something that's right for you and surround yourselves with advisors who have your interest in mind. That's always my tagline. Yeah.
Yes, because with M&As, a lot of money can be lost very quickly just
Oh,
by not discovering one thing, by
yeah.
taking one wrong decision. And I've never done a project or never been involved with a project that hasn't had one of those two things happen. It's
Yeah.
it is going to happen. It's a part of the process. So you've then got to figure out, okay, how do I recover some of that costs, recover some of that to get us back online? What can we do? And
Yeah. And what I normally share with my clients is during this discovery process, you may discover a minefield, then you know what to avoid, or you might discover a diamond, you know what to capitalize on. So if you do not and both of them may look the same thing to an untrained eye. So having those advisors and having that support, you get that extra knowledge of understanding what you're discovering and understanding how you can capitalize on. This can save you a lot of time and money, and most importantly, set you in the right direction that gives you more success. So yeah, it's a beautiful opportunity.
Those diamonds. I'm so glad you brought that up. I've heard it described as pots of gold, diamonds, all
Yeah.
those sorts of things. A lot of people go into these and they think, okay, we're going to take all that, we're going to bring it over here, and we're going to slash and burn. Well,
Okay.
no, look at what's going on first. Where are those? What is this organization doing better than what we're doing?
Mm.
What can we learn from them? How are they
Yeah.
working? What policies, procedures, what work practices, what technology have they got that we
Mm.
can actually, oh, wow, that is really impressive. Okay, someone go and have a look at this, figure out how it's all put together. Is it something that we should be planning to take on board?
That is that is so true, and you gave me a very interesting thought that came to my mind. I started my career working for a very, reasonably sized IT organization. It was called Carita, and then it got acquired by an American organization called Keen. The leaders of Carita did something very, very wise. So they looked at what Keen brought to the table, which also included entry into the share, New York Stock Exchange and many thing else. And most importantly, they realized Keen is better set up for scaling in terms of the systems and the processes and many other things. So they had this beautiful thing on let's bring what's working, change what's needed, embrace the best in each other. So that was a beautiful thing that I've seen the leaders implement, and how being a young mind at that time influenced it. So they had the opportunity to slash and burn. They didn't. And they also had the opportunity to completely go the other way. Like, let's just do what the other company does because we acquired something massive and big, but they didn't. So it's like, it's a informed choice of let's embrace the best in each of us and together we grow. So that was a
It
beautiful
is.
thing.
And that rings in the back of my head like a gong. Why the big organization taking over the little one? Why are they doing it this way? Because that's the way they've always done it.
Yeah.
Oh my. That oh my pet hate in the world is that one. You've got to go in with open eyes and see
Yeah.
what are the opportunities. Where can we do
Mm.
better? And people will go in, oh, this is the plan. Well, it may be the
Yeah.
plan, but
Mm.
depending on what you find.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yes.
So in digital transformation, we use this analogy. Yes, you can sail if you do not listen to the wind or the rain, you're going to crash into the rock. Titanic, classic examples of where human arrogance can actually lead us into massive mistakes. Can that be avoided, that crash? Absolutely. So what didn't happen there? If humans listen to each other and we're willing to learn from each other, and the universe has a beautiful way of teaching us. Our mirror neurons are powerful. We build on each other's ideas. So let's be open to listening and have a plan and be willing to work with the changes. Any pilot would agree. Any pilot listening to this would agree. There is normally a course, and there is always deviations to the course, and they are informed deviations, and they are there for a reason. You do not want to sail into a storm. You do not want to fly through the eye of the storm or anything crazy like that. Can that be done? Absolutely. Do you want to? Definitely not. So, yeah, so make an informed choice.
You use the word human, well, the phrase human arrogance there. And then I'm biting my tongue waiting for you to finish because, and then you recover it for me and you say, unless someone speaks up. That was the key. That I mean, I've got to wait until she, but yes, you've got to be prepared to listen to that person that speaks up
Yeah.
because you'll go in with these goggles. That's what
Mm.
you want to achieve. And you've done it before. You know what you're doing. This is how we're going to do it. Well, the little voice over here says, hey, did you see this? Did you listen to this? That's what you should be taking note
Mm.
of all the way
Yeah.
through. And I think that's what a true leader does, is
Yeah.
to have a plan of that there's the destination, going in the right direction, but always be listening to the people around them to take on their views as well, to understand them
Abs-
and appreciate and respect the people that they've got working for them.
Oh, yeah. And respect those we have around us, and they are the ones who got our back. So, you know, what's something what's important? So is it achieving the outcome, or achieving the outcome in an informed, comfortable way where everybody celebrates? I'd go for the second. So
I
definitely.
want to go back to these 300 M&As.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to go back to that one. So, did you do all that yourself?
Oh, definitely no. There is much smarter people supporting in every part of the journey. So do
Throw the line
while
out and just reel it back in that
yeah,
response.
absolutely. So it's an interesting thing, right? So when we do a large, especially when we have done it in scale, we normally have three or four going in parallel every time, and we would have also develop the ways we work. Like there are some people who are very good at working upfront and discovering those gold mines. And there are very good people who are very streamlined and who know what to do, and the process runs really, really smoothly. So when you've done so much, I think it's just like in any industry, when you've done so much, you know who to call, who to use, and where they play, and you know what they're actually saying without them actually saying. Yeah.
Right between my hands there, I want to put a big
Yeah.
sign. Follow the playbook.
Yes.
Develop a
Follow the playbook,
playbook.
develop a playbook, invest in it, develop a playbook, and also be willing to listen to it, because at some stage, my colleague and I were talking yesterday. So it's like we know, when someone texts you with certain words, you know what they exactly mean without them saying a word. So you'll get to know those you work with to that extent really, really well. So yeah, so invest in those relationships, because those relationships are worth millions. Because I was talking about a very practical problem on reducing the cloud costs to a colleague of mine yesterday. And it was just over lunch. And his immediate thing was, that's scaled up for 1,000. We need to scale it down and bring it for hundreds. So there you go, we'll save some money. And I go, all right, great. This is words of wisdom. And if you're looking for that solution, it would have taken months, probably, weeks to be able to find that solution. And this happened over lunch. So awesome. Yeah.
We've only got a couple of minutes left,
Yeah.
Judith, but I want to spark on something that you just said. This could save you millions. So having that team, that experienced team around you.
Yeah. Mm.
Now, that team, should that be something that organizations are investing in before they even think about going out and doing an M&A?
I think we should, if we are working with an organization that hasn't thought about it, think about it. Think about who we are going to invest in. So two things that'll give us income, which is one is how we do it, and two, most importantly, who we do it with. And that who is so important. It'll help us, help those we serve, and many, many more. And that unit, that who in the group, is far more powerful, and that will sell itself. Yeah.
And to get that how, you're going to need a solutions architect, a systems
Yeah.
architect, or someone with that skill set, whatever title it may be.
Yeah. So that skill set is a very important thing, right? Sometimes we are all tuned to think in boxes and have people put in boxes. So in the new world, when we work on it, be willing to open with what people bring to the table. Sometimes they may fill two or three boxes, and the knowledge may be very, very wide, and also could be very deep and very narrow, which is also a very good skill to have. In one place, especially, we saved over $1 billion for that specific organizations. We unearthed $1 billion that paid a whole bunch of other bills for that specific organization. That is because of a very deep knowledge that one or two individuals had, and a team working around it that came all together. So these things are not easy. What we are doing is not easy, but they're very simple when we have the right team to do it. So invest in the right team and invest in what they have and they want to scale upon. Everyone is drawn towards something, so do it. So definitely you'll have the program director, project managers, the solution architects, the enterprise architects, the strategists, the visionaries, the team people, the team readiness, and the team mergers people. Extremely important. No one's going to learn by just sending a bunch of videos and, say, get on board or whatever it is. Like those things have not worked in the past. So invest in the right team and the right people who can help people merge and work with each other. So all those good stuff. And most importantly, do it for the right reasons. You would know what the real reason is and keep that interest and keep that real reason in mind. Absolutely.
Brilliant words. Judith, is there anything else, any last words of wisdom that you might have for us?
My tagline always is surround yourself with those who have your interest in mind. Identify and invest in those people, and you're okay.
That's excellent advice. Well, how did you find this today? Was it a bit of good
This is
fun for you?
awesome. Very good fun, and thank you for having me. And it's been an absolute pleasure being in the space with you.
Well, I have found it that way as well. So thank you so much, Judith. And all of the details, everything will be put together and people will be able to get in contact with you and that'll be excellent.
Awesome.
So everybody, catch up with Judith. She has hinted at some real gold mines here today. I think we might need to delve a bit further and catch up with this Australian Transformation and Turnaround Association as well. So thank you very much, Judith. Really appreciate your time today. And I'll package all this up and get it off to you. That was just fantastic. I really appreciate it. So
Thank you.
anything that I can do for you, Judith?
So I'll introduce you to the leaders of AusTTA. So I'll take that as an action. And I'd love to have you on my channel, Ancient Wisdom Forums, so you can think about it. And if that resonates with you, I'd love to have you. So you make a
Always
huge
happy to
difference.
help out wherever I can.
Oh,
So that would be wonderful. But yes, I thought
perfect.
this was a bit of good fun. I don't know how I'm going to package all this up, that we've covered so many different topics.
It'll come to you. I trust you. So it'll come to you.
Okay. Talk to you soon,
Thank you.
Judith. I've
Talk
got
soon.
another meeting straight after this. Well,
Oh,
I've got another meeting at
perfect.
9:05.
Okay.
So I'll put all this
Perfect.
together in the next couple of days. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year,
Merry
okay?
Christmas and see you then.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you
Bye
then.
bye.
Bye.